You know, like I'm not trying to right now be like a super inspiration. I'm not trying to say, oh well, all these years of doing photography and networking and whatever, they're just like now I'm trying to gas myself up or whatever's the case. But it's just like having a strong foundation is important. Understanding, like the difference between savagery and civil action is important. Like being able to survive an entire pandemic, with most of my face intact is very important. Understanding health, having gone to Aveda, which is based off of Ayurvedic, like teachings, is very important. You know what I'm saying? Like having like experience with like nightlife and like a whole room of drunk people, and making sure that like literally no one has cataracts and like is blind and like lost an eye or got like snatched or something like that is important. And all the time that's going now, and all the time that's been wasted, and all the time that has been lost, basically, like as pertains to like the degradation of my health, of my network of people, of like my relations, the endangerment to me and like my related brands and works and associations, because like even now, like Bill Cosby just got out of jail, but the fact that he was put in jail for so long, the fact that he was determined guilty, for so long, the fact that the news media, took a little piece of what was going on and like destroyed a lot of his legacy, like as pertains to like the timeline of like his life so far. You know what I'm saying? Like that's devastating. And not being accounted for, and what I'm saying, not being adhered to, and not being like I guess taken care of, and like being ignored. And even like when I went to the hospital, because I wasn't feeling too well, and I feel like it was a stomach virus, like I'm literally like washing my mouth out with soap, like this type of soap, to like uphold like sanitation methods, especially since I'm doing like these videos and everything like that. And all of that, like every action is life threatening. Today, Jeff Bezos, you know who I'm talking about. He just stepped down as CEO. You know what I'm saying? Like he just became like $10 billion wealthier. And from what I understand, like I'll Google that in a second. From what I understand, he could either still be like a multi-millionaire, as in like in the hundreds, because it's all like his money basically, but he doesn't need to work. He owns Amazon. You know what I'm saying? Like that's his. Like everybody works, and there's all these different people with different types of responsibilities and everything like that. But Jeff Bezos is synonymous with Amazon, and he doesn't need to be the CEO. Or he's no longer affiliated with Amazon, like completely. Like I don't know the specifics of it, but in not understanding the specifics, what I do know is the action that he took. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody fired him. Oh, from my understanding, like nobody like fired him. Nobody like like did whatever. Like that was all him. And he is one person, and so am I. And he's done. He's illustrated. Direction eloquently to the point of actual like change making, and that is what I believe I'm capable of, based off of my strong foundation, based off of my developments, and based off of my adaptations despite what's the word, I'm not speaking to anyone but I'm just thinking out loud, and my adaptations despite adversity. There we go. Having like a lot of experience and a lot of like cross referencing, like at my disposal, like This situation is marvelous, and that is sarcasm. It's just like, it's marvelous. It's like, if I take the time to like get like, like totally angry, I'm only going to be harming myself. Like the amount of like chemicals and hormones that like are associated with like aggression and rage, and like the raise in testosterone, like that's just going to be more of a problem for me later. And I hope I can live to 150 years old. I hope that I can, like push the barriers of like, mortality, because like living forever right now like really is impossible under these conditions. But mortality extension definitely is on my bucket list. And if I can't live to 150, I'll at least live to 147. At least that is gonna be where it's like non-negotiable. So in this grand scheme of things, and after saying all of what I just said, I need me some money. Section 8, like their office, like everyone associated with them, for sure, they say they do not cover security deposits. A security deposit generally, is equivalent to in value, not value, but is equivalent in price to a to 1 month's rent. So I am not sure if a property management would be able to accept, like the first month's rent's payment as a temporary security deposit, if it's granted the agreement and the program structure of Section 8 and NYCHA. Section 8 being, the program itself, and NYCHA being, the affiliated housing authority instead of, like synonymous with like public housing, NYCHA. I called them and I asked them, and they told me no, but maybe if there is a wider conversation, where they understand that it's not just me versus me approaching them with this piece of paper, they might be able to make an exception. And exceptions, of course, like people with like, less in tuned areas of comprehension, they hate that. They're like democracy, they're like everybody's the same, they're like no exceptions. But in this situation, like hopefully you can make me an exception. Granted, unemployment insurances, payments, weekly insurance benefits, I should have money. I do not have money. I can explain as to why I do not have money, but basically I had to prioritize like my health, my physical health. I don't really believe in mental health because I feel like it is all physical. And once you start believing in mental health, then that's when like they get you with like, oh, you must be having an hallucination. Well, I'm looking you in the face, I'm looking at your physical body, and I'm telling you that you're having an hallucination, or you're psychotic, or you're crazy. No, this is all my physical health, honey. This is all me. You know what I'm saying? If somebody cut me in my if somebody cut me in my forehead, you'll see all of that brain matter and all of those juices, gushing out, and you can throw that under a microscope and you can differentiate. So for me, everything is my physical health. Long story short is, wow, I just went on a total tangent. But basically what I'm saying is exceptions. Hopefully they can make an exception. With unemployment insurance and everything like that, and like taking the trip, like I went all the way to LA, you know what I'm saying? Like I missed the bus in Colorado. I was in Colorado for a day. And then I went to LA, and then I came all the way back. Well, actually, I went to LA, and then I went all the way to Boston. I was just there, and I just got out of the city, just breathed different air, and kind of just like, like cleared my head and like looked to see like, like how does everyone else move versus like city culture in New York, because I call New York City the city of New York, New York, the city. Since to me it's the city, colloquially it's the city, but it's good to travel basically. So I traveled, I came back, then I started having issues and problems with receiving my mail, and then like, stuff was stolen and things like that. And then I basically, I'm not referencing anything, I'm just looking at what I have here. Then I had issues and problems with that, so then there was a limitation with that. Then I have like EBT and whatever, so that's like public assistance. That's like the bi-weekly cash assistance and like food stamps, and like that's great. I like my phone was stolen, and then I like got like a little LG phone, really cool, the Phoenix 5. And then I got the and then like all of a sudden it's like that was the only phone that went out. And then there was another time when then basically like my phone broke, and then I put all my stuff, because like my leg was hurting and it was like getting hot that day, and like I had like I was carrying around my bag, like for months basically. And I put everything in a box, and I like addressed the box to like my addresses, but they never delivered the box because there was no postage on it, and I didn't pay the postage stamp. And then I put a mail hold as well, and then when I came, and this was like mid-June, when I came back, to pick up my mail, this was the day before like the mail hold was over, then they said that there was no mail for me, and I was just like, oh, like these old people up inside of this USPS just love to stress me out, but it's like, where's my mail? Not like in an attitude way, but just like, this is an inconvenience, and this is definitely a loss, because there's like many valuable things in like the box. And okay, it's insured for $50, so what, you don't care about $50? You think that you're just going to give me back $50? No. You know what I'm saying? If you are diverting from policy, then we need to divert from that $50 insurance, and you need to pay me back for what I lost, basically. They said there was no mail. Looking at what they could possibly, justify as to why there's no mail, it doesn't have a postage. It would otherwise be classified as undeliverable. If you're collecting mail, and the mail cannot go to where it is designated to send, then is it undeliverable? Yes, it is undeliverable to the sender because there is no postage. So because it is undeliverable to the sender, then what happens? You return it to the not to the sender, but to like where it's to be sent. You return it to the return mail that's on the box. If there is no return mail address that is on the box, then yes, it is undeliverable, and it gets sent to a centralized postal facility called I don't know the name of the postal facility, but basically it's in Georgia, and that is the Dead Mail Processing Center. That is called, we can't do anything at all with this piece of mail. You know what I'm saying? Not that we are limited, but it's the fact that there's no information, so that is the automated process. And that is something that I believe they lack, because that is comprehension. You know what I'm saying? At Kaplan House, they stopped giving me my mail, and they sent the mail back to the USPS. The USPS has a change of address order for me. So, because I filled out the information and I let them know and everything like that, they should have sent it over to the P.O. box that I have. Because they did not honor that, then that mail that has kept coming in, which is like my bank cards, my driver's license, my 1099-G, things like that, all of that mail went to the dead mail processing center. I don't know who works in this processing center, but I don't know what procedures they've devised based off of dead mail. Like, dead mail could be like a person died and nobody's picking it up, but I'm here and I'm asking for my mail, and I'm sending this in like continually, and no one, not even at the dead processing center, would be able to investigate that.